We have big news. We have exciting news for you. Tell them what it is, Serena.
We are super excited to announce that we are starting our first membership this January 2024.
Yay! Membership.
So we're excited to let you know that we will be hosting a monthly membership where when you join, you will be
with us live in a Zoom room once a month for a workshop like we just hosted. It's going to be a workshop like that, one topic each month, a different topic. You might even help us come up with the following month's topic from inside our membership. Super excited to meet you. It was so fun meeting a few of you in our inaugural workshop. So we're really looking forward to that.
And when you are a member, you will also be receiving a monthly newsletter where I'm going to be a little more intimate and I'll be sharing the things that are working and the things that aren't working for me.
Yeah, like taking a tool that you've learned from the podcast and how you're implementing it and how well that worked, or maybe if it didn't work. And then Amma can put in my 2 bits worth. We'll see how that goes. But a membership newsletter and a membership live Zoom room workshop starting in January 2024. Can sign up through our Patreon link in the show notes, yeah?
Yes, everything will be in the show notes, and we can't wait to see you there, listeners.
We can't wait. Yay!
During lockdown, like everybody else, we was extremely stressed out, and I was working from home full time at the time. My husband was working from home. We were trying to homeschool the kids when the schools were closed, and it was really much of a way to get my kids on a Friday. And I sort of said, you know, Friday you have me from sort of 4 o'clock, and we're gonna transport ourselves to. We picked a country, let's China, or we started off with India because it was easier in terms of my heritage. And I would kind of, in that week, I would spend so much time printing off a few things here. I was kind of Googling some facts, and then we'd make some templates for some flags. And I'd say, right, on that Friday, we are going to go to India on Friday. We're going to spend the whole day there from the kitchen table. So it started off very much of a Friday night theme of a country, and we would listen to the music, and we would draw the flag. I would teach them, this is the flag for each country. We'd draw it on our windows in the kitchen. Wow. And for them, it was really exciting because not only did they knew they had our undivided attention, but it was fun.
Hey, Mama, welcome to the Nurturing Parent Podcast. Do you want to end the constant battles for bath time? Do you find yourself emotionally exhausted at the end of the day? Do you wake up with big hopes for a smooth day of fun with your little ones, only to face an early morning meltdown because you peeled their banana the wrong way?
Silly you.
Silly you.
Hey, I'm Serena. I'm a mama of 2 little ones, and as a new mama, I constantly questioned myself. I wanted to make sure I was raising respectful kids while also building a strong bond with them. But I discovered that I had to unlearn my ideas that punishment was the way. With Lisa's encouragement, I've been practicing a respectful and gentle parenting approach, which is strengthening our bond as a family.
And hi, I'm Lisa. Amma means grandmother in Icelandic. I am a mama and an amma. And I have over 40 years of experience in childcare and parent coaching. And I am so excited to share the knowledge I've gained over these years with you.
Together in this podcast, each week we will explore some easy to implement skills you can add to your parenting tool belt to help you create a happy, thriving family. Today, we are excited to introduce you to our next guest on the podcast. Param Kaur-Kingston is coming to us today from the United Kingdom.
I want to say we're excited. Okay, back to you. Amma gets really excited sometimes.
So born and raised in Ipswich, England, Param is the daughter of Indian parents. Growing up in a Sikh family in Britain had its many challenges. Param, as a girl, had to beg to go on to get a higher education, which she did, and in university, she studied and became a police officer. Working as a detective, she saw that change comes in a society that is educated about differences. And as a young woman, Param married a man who is British Caucasian, and although it took a while, her family eventually accepted her husband and welcomed him in. Since becoming a mom, Param wants her children to feel proud of their dual heritage and to know that we are all different, and that diversity is something to be treasured. Because of her varied experiences and her own mixed heritage marriage and children, a beautiful creation has emerged, a multicultural subscription box program. Travel outside the box. Thank you so much for joining us and giving us your time. I know it's hard because you have your littles, but we really appreciate you taking the time to join us here today.
Thank
Yay.
you. Thanks so much for having me. It's so nice. It's so nice to talk to you both. Wow, that's some intro. Sounds like I've been really busy.
Yeah, it does. Policewoman and detective and,
Wow.
standing up for yourself as a young girl and woman, to have the life and to create the life that you wanted to create. It's very inspiring, Param.
Very
Thank you.
Just to
inspirational.
start off.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. I've been busy, as they say.
How old are your children?
So Amelia she's just turned 8 and my son is 6. So yeah, they're close in age and we kind of pleased with that really. But yeah, it's tough. It's hard work, isn't it?
Yes.
As you both know.
I actually went to John Jay because I wanted to become a police officer as well. So I love seeing how you started going, you went to school, you became a police officer, and where you're at now because of that experience. I think that's really cool.
Yeah, I feel like I've done a bit of full circle really, but I think when I always wanted to do it, and I think from a very, very young age, being from the heritage and my parents being quite strict, it was always very much, no, you can't. And, you know, I thought, okay, maybe education's a route first, but I think in a way, I kind of did it because they also didn't want me to do it. And there's all that, that gives you so much more drive. It gives you so much more enthusiasm. I'm not going to do it. I'm going to show you. And I did. I loved it. And I never, I don't regret it. I'm grateful I met my husband through my career and we wouldn't have met had I not joined, but it was a roller coaster of experience and it was an absolute opens your eyes to absolute the real world, especially working in the middle of London and all the challenges that come with that. It was an experience.
I love the part about how working in that field where you're seeing, the troubles in our cultures, had you come to see that change can come in a society through educating each other and ourselves about differences.
Yeah.
Right. And that piece seems, and then marrying, an interracial marriage. And so your children are two different cultures coming together and those beautiful little beings. And through all of that, led you to this beautiful program that you've created, this subscription box program. So tell us how you got to that and tell us a bit more about it.
I got to, it's kind of a little bit of a journey in terms of it really started not by accident, but because during lockdown, like everybody else, we was extremely stressed out and I was working from home full time at the time. My husband was working from home. We were trying to homeschool the kids when the schools were closed. And it was really much of a way to get my kids on a Friday. And I sort of said, Friday you have me from sort of 4:00 and we're gonna transport ourselves we picked a country, let's, China, or we started off with India because it was easier in terms of my heritage. And I would kind of, in that week, I would spend so much time printing off a few things here. I was kind of Googling some facts and then we'd make some templates for some flags. And I'd say, right, on that Friday, we are going to go to India on Friday. We're going to spend the whole day there from the kitchen table. So it started off very much of a Friday night theme of a country. And we would listen to the music and we would draw the flag. I would teach them, this is the flag for each country. We'd draw it on our windows in the kitchen. And for them, it was really exciting because not only did they knew they had our undivided attention. But it was fun. It was,
Mm.
we'd learn obscure facts about a different country. We would kind of pick out props. If I could order something online ahead of the Friday, we would order something tangible that they could unwrap or smell or feel, and then I would cook something. For some countries, it was a lot easier than others. Sometimes we just ordered a takeaway, but we try to keep it on theme. And they absolutely loved it because they were so
I
like, where are
love
we going
it.
tomorrow, Mummy? And where are we going next Friday? And I used to help them in the week say which country, have a look at the globe, which country are we going to on Friday? And for them, it was
Wow.
exciting because they knew that we'd dance, they knew we might even dress up, they'd get to sort of get their paints out and they would learn the flag. And they just loved it. They just absolutely, and you know what, their knowledge of flags and the world,
Mm.
and that, they've only been alive a short while, 6 and 8.
Mm.
They know a lot when they look at it, much more than I did when I looked at a map, even now at this
That's
age.
incredible.
You
I
know.
love how this started. I didn't know that part of the
Yes.
story.
So
Love
it
that
was
you were
by
able
accident. And I must have posted it on Facebook, and someone said to me, we want to go to India. Can you give us
Yeah.
something? Can we do this? And I just thought maybe we can't be the only family that not only want to have that sort of connection with your kids over the dinner table and, at home, but also to kind of have a bit of an educational journey for both the parents and, the my kids as well. It wasn't just us teaching them about another country. We were learning too. We were sort of trying to pull out some facts, some things that we didn't know about certain tribes and certain countries. And it was really good fun.
Yeah, and it sounds like they really just treasured that bonding time that they had with you.
It was, because I think with so much going on with lockdown, there was so many, our time was kind of being pulled from everywhere, and it was quite a worrying time. And I think it just got everybody kind of focused on, let's just think about now and where we're going via the dinner table. And we kind of blended it into our Friday night. So it was kind of, that was what they knew. The routine was we go somewhere different every Friday at
And I
home.
just want to say, as an educator, I want to say, like, that Friday evening was the height of any education they got all week.
Absolutely.
Learning to read or write or do math. No way. They're learning about cultures in the world.
Yeah.
That's phenomenal. Good for
Yeah.
you guys. I'm impressed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was fun. It was good fun. I mean, we started off with India because it was easy, and
Of
and
course.
it was
And
just
it's part
dancing
of
in the
who they
kitchen.
are, right? They're
Yeah.
not living there, but it's a huge part of who they are. And that makes the most sense, not just because it was easy, but because of that's
Yeah.
part of them. Yeah.
Yeah.
So beautiful. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
It was
So I
great.
want to
It's great.
say that I ordered a couple of your boxes last year, and they were so fun to receive. I ordered them for my grandsons, although one, last year was 15 and the other 10. So they're older, but bigger kids. But the 10-year-old really, I think the 15-year-old enjoyed it from a distance, but he had to be a little more cool about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But the 10-year-old and his mom, really loved it. Was like, oh, look at this. Oh wow, look at this, right? And so it was really fun, even to unwrap and
Yeah.
unbox. It was really fun. Yeah.
I think that's the thing as well. And a lot of people have said, that well, we cover certain topics, we cover role models, we cover flags in geography, and we do music and music study, but this isn't just geography or music. The whole idea is not, yes, you can download something off the internet and learn about different countries, but it's the whole idea of actually having the box in front of you, unwrapping, smelling what's inside. There's no food, but there is a spice, and the recipe, it's all themed around actually being transported to that place.
It's
And I think
immersive. It's
immersive.
immersive learning.
And I think that's what it was. Yeah.
There's fabric. So you've got some color, some texture, like you said, the scent. And then when you make the recipe, you're going to have that scent. And your suggestion was that we played the music that you recommended. I think there were links to download for the music. And then while you're creating the dinner and while you're eating the dinner, the dish that we created, you're listening to the music. You might, like you said, there was a bit of dress up in there, like oh, it was so, and then I know with the Mexican box there was the maracas, so now you've got the sense of sound as well. So super cool.
Yeah,
I love that, engaging all of the five senses, and that too makes it familiar for them. So when they do encounter diversity in their world, it is familiar.
And children learn differently, don't they? It's one thing you can learn a number of facts, but if you're drawing the flag and you're using different colors and you're cooking that meal and you see a picture of that particular role model, it's a number of ways that they could learn in a really fun way, and with your parents as well. I think it's just something that's just different than in being in a school setting and learning these things
as a whole family. It's a beautiful, beautiful experience to do as a whole family. And I don't know if you put this in the boxes, but I didn't see this part if you did. But if you didn't, I want to recommend that you actually put a little story in each box about your Friday evenings and how this came about. And as a family, it was your Friday evening. Maybe for another family, it would be a Saturday or a Sunday, whatever. But the whole family immersed into this culture. And I just think that would be a lovely story to tell, in a piece of paper.
I mean, and it's exactly the way it started. So you're right.
Exactly.
A little piece of kind of about me and just how we started it ourselves. That's amazing idea. Thank you.
You're welcome. And the other part, for me, I imagined knowing that for you, after becoming a mama, you really wanted your children to feel proud of their dual heritage, their cultural backgrounds from both mom and dad. And I imagined that this came out of that as a seed for this. And then, what is it that you are hoping to bring to the world with this beautiful program?
I think given maybe my background and maybe the upbringing and having children that are, they look a little bit like me, they look a little bit like my husband, and for them to feel like really proud of their heritage, of both heritages. And I think, that comes with them just getting older and asking lots of questions and being curious. But I think there's such important ways that we can, as educators, as parents, to teach our children at this young age when they're going into the big wide world out there. And sometimes I think when they get out there and they meet people that are different to themselves, it's kind of late to ask those questions. And some of those questions and those important conversations around the dinner table about, and it sounds really deep, like I'm trying to save the world here, but I'm not. In terms of, it's so subtle things, like in one of my boxes, in the India box, it talks about role models and it talks about Gandhi, and I've also included a role model of my granddad and his kind of struggles coming to this country at a very young age and all the things that he did great for the world. And and like there are a million other role models to choose from, women, people of color. And I think it's a really good opportunity to talk to our children about it in a really subtle way. And it could be about injustice, it could be about women's rights, anything, but we could have those really important conversations, nuggets of really simple facts broken down for young children, to kind of have those conversations with your parents about, well, why wasn't that person allowed in the door, or why wasn't that person allowed because of the color of their skin or because of their disability. And I think if we are not having those really important questions and discussions with our children, where is it safe for them to have those conversations if not in the classroom? And that's kind of what I'm trying to do really subtly through the boxes too.
Yeah, I think what you're saying by the really subtly part that you've said a few times is that you don't want people to be parents to feel like they're teaching something, but
Yeah.
more offering as a role model. That was one of my questions was give us some examples of the role models you include in the boxes. So Gandhi is a very obvious one.
Yeah.
I love that your grandfather was in there, and maybe you could tell us a little bit about how he was a role model.
Yeah.
What's included in his?
So I could send you the link actually because he's actually on Wikipedia. So my
Mm,
granddad in the 70s, he's dead now, but in the he came over to this country when he was a student and he was sort of lecturing.
to
But also
England.
when he into England, yeah,
Yeah.
he moved to Manchester and he was back and forth and back and forth. And when he tried to get work here, he's one of his first jobs he tried to get was as a bus driver. And one of the rules becoming a bus driver is that he had to take off his turban. And
Mm,
for a Sikh man, turbans are obviously quite sacred. And
mm,
it was kind of the decision that he made that, well, he'd like to be a bus driver. He can be a bus driver, but he will not do it based on the fact that he
wow.
has to remove it. So then
Right.
my granddad used to ride a moped around the city of Manchester. And at the time, it's illegal to ride a motorcycle without a helmet.
Oh.
And now there's a law passed due to a lot of work that my granddad did. He got arrested a couple of times and
Mm,
he spent some time in Strangeways prison, kind of basically wasn't doing as he was told, and he wasn't
hmm.
supposed to be riding a motorbike with his turban on, but obviously trying to explain that this is part of his clothing, this is part of the way he looks, and to actually take it off is disrespectful.
Hmm.
And after several years of campaigning, it's actually now legal in order to, you're exempt from wearing a motorcycle helmet on a motorbike in the UK
Wow.
if you're a Sikh wearing, if you wear a
Right.
turban. So that took a long time. And I think that's why there's lots of information about Wikipedia about my granddad, because he
Mhm.
was kind of a bit of a role model in the city at the time for
Right.
lots of other Sikh men.
Amazing. Thank you
Yeah,
for sharing that with us.
you're welcome.
It makes me think about when I was a child, my family sings a lot. As our listeners will know, I'm known as the singing Amma.
Mhm.
And I grew up in the 60s as a little girl, and there was in the United States, the equal rights movement was still very strong for the African American community. And so when we would drive in the car, we would sing songs. And one of the songs that I remember singing in the car when I'm like 4 or 5 years old says, "If you miss me at the back of the bus, you won't find me nowhere. Come on over to the front of the bus. I'll be riding right there." And that's the beauty of music, is that it teaches in that sort of subtle way that you're
Mm.
talking about. We would just sing the songs, and because my parents, white Canadians, were very involved as much as we could be. We went on marches for the
Mm.
equal rights movement as a little girl. I remember that. But I remember saying to my dad, why couldn't they ride at the front of the bus? And
Yeah,
that's when I got the education. I was 4 or 5 years old. And it was a
yeah,
wonderful way to get some
yeah,
very hard and difficult information
yeah.
about,
Yeah.
yeah,
And my
history.
kids asked the same thing, when I'd explained to them about the work that my granddad did, and he wanted to be a bus driver, but he couldn't for this reason. That they look the face of being stunned a bit because they don't. That's not their world right now. They
Exactly.
can't believe it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's important for them to understand that it doesn't happen as often now. But it's sometimes things are still quite unjust. Um,
Hmm.
and I think it's important to prepare them really as well for
Yeah.
things that may not go their way, or things that they might need to challenge as young children. And my daughter's had a situation at her school where she has had to challenge somebody and stick up for one of her school friends based on the color of his skin. And it's kind of
Mm.
and I'm so extremely proud of her that she was able to say, to stand up, but some children wouldn't. And
Yeah.
also, it shouldn't happen, but it does. because not everybody's exposed to the same kind of conversations and experiences.
No, I think a lot of children are not exposed to the conversations. And that also makes me wonder, what do you see as the differences from when you were a girl, a 6-year-old or an 8-year-old growing up in schools, how you were maybe treated to compare, and how you felt about it, and how could you take what happened to you home to your parents and talk about it or not, compared with how your children are being treated in school, or what the differences are really.
I think from my point of view, I certainly bring some of that into the conversations that I'd have with my children. But I grew up in a very in a really small, we had a small community of kind of our Sikh community.
Okay.
And I went to a school which was probably one of two, maybe three children in the year that were non-white. And I think for that experience, I think for my parents, really tried to hold on to our custom, the way we dress, the way that we behave, and almost segregate and separate, when actually we probably needed to integrate, more so on. I think having that experience, I think also having quite strict parents, there's that patriarchy, there's that girls don't need to go to get to school, they don't really need to go and get an education, and don't speak up, and there's that very sort of strictness that's different in the way that I am bringing my children up. And I'm not saying I've been brought up in a way that wasn't right, it was just different. And I think I want to encourage my daughter especially, as well as my son, to speak out, and that she can do absolutely everything as good, if not better, than boys can, And I think there's that drive I'm trying to instill in them as well, like, to be curious, but to also challenge. And I think it's kind of from that element on, very much, it's really important to me, more than maths and more than science. And it's that ability to not be shushed, I think. And it's, and that's still very evident, not to be bleak, but, when you think about women in Afghanistan and, women being silenced everywhere, that we need to encourage less of that every day for our children, so that they can change the world when they, when they're adults, I know it's not as easy as that, but
but it starts here, right? And it starts with making somebody that is open-minded and willing to accept, and it does start with you just raising your kids to be that daughter that stood up for her friend, and being able to be that strong voice. And I think that's beautiful.
I think it's beautiful too. And I really actually believe it is this easy. I think that raising empowered children to be empowered adults who are loved and nurtured and supported and taught all these beautiful things that you're teaching with the diversity piece, I think that it is this easy. And that's where change happens. It happens from within each one of us, right?
Yeah, we're all responsible for it, aren't we? And I think
we are.
And it's that kind of, we can all go out on the internet, the World Wide Web is there, the information overload. We can type things in, but it's not the point. The point is it's bringing something into the home, learning about something that you don't see every day, that you don't see a tribal village and dealing with the challenges that they may have. You don't meet people of different race or religion all the time, depending on where you live and which community you live in. It's not for everybody, but it's not an important topic for everybody. And that's also, I accept that as well. It's not for everybody.
And I want to point back, I want to point back to when you were in the police force and the sometimes horrors that I think you saw out there. What you discovered for yourself was that the way to change society is by being educated about differences. So I hope that our listeners are really getting here the importance of being educated about differences and integrating that into our family lives.
Absolutely.
So talking about this topic of diversity, diverse cultural background specifically, we wanted to ask you how that ties in for you with being a nurturing parent.
I think for me, the whole idea about diversity, it has so many layers in terms of how, diversity in terms of the way people look, the diverse needs of every individual or adult. We have important conversations, or we try and have important conversations around the dinner table when we're all there and present about different needs, and wanting my kids to be curious and ask questions about why someone might be in a wheelchair, or why someone might look different to you, and that's okay, but to also ask questions, because they learn that way. And not every child learns in the same way in one classroom. Usually there's about 30 children in the classroom now at school, in my kids' school, and they don't all learn in the same way. My kids are very receptive to learning and doing and getting up and actually, rather than them just learning and repeating, they practice and regurgitate. So everybody's diverse in that way. And I think the boxes certainly kind of talk to those different needs of different children that might learn a little different way, with music, with visuals, with props. And I think there's the need to encounter that diversity with the way children learn, but also the way they look at the world as well.
Totally. Yeah. So, tell our listeners where they can find your subscription boxes. Is there an age range that you think that they're suited for, and how can they order them?
The boxes, I'd say, are to be kind of experienced as a family. I really believe that, and that's the way we've enjoyed them. But from the age of about 5 to 9 years old, depending on your kind of child's learning ability, you can really dissect some of that information and kind of make it simpler if you need to. But specific ages from 5 to 9, and they can be purchased.
I think that I know some 3 and 4-year-olds who would also love this.
And
so it really depends on the child's development and their interests too, right?
Absolutely. And I think because of the craft or coloring element, I'd sit and do it as an adult, just because it's that time of like, you lose the chaos, you can just sit and just be with your children.
My 30-something-year-old daughter was super excited.
There's a little bit for everybody in it, in one box.
Okay.
So they can be purchased as a subscription on a bi-monthly basis, but also I do have single box items for people to try if there's one particular country that they really are interested in learning about or doing as a family. And I do have a website. You can find me in Travel Outside the Box _UK. I do ship outside of the UK. Just contact me if you're a little bit concerned about the postage. But in some of the boxes, there is a little spice, which I may not send if we're going to the US, just because I would be really upset if the box turned up damaged to the front door, having been opened, because there's something
I think you did that with ours when we got the India box, and you just put in a note saying these are the spices that you'll need, and then we just get it from our own pantry or from the shop if we don't have it on hand. And I ordered them. I'm way over on the west coast of Canada, y'all. So they'll ship.
It took some time, but it will get there. We'll get there.
Yeah, it might take a bit of time. That's right. It might not get there for Christmas. But what a great way to start the new year, too, if you wanted to order now and, try a box for once a season, or I don't know if you have enough boxes already for once a month yet, or
not
how that's
once
looking.
A month yet.
Yeah, okay.
But I'm getting there. I'm kind of, I have requests for different countries, and people want me to do different things, and France and Egypt next, and I need to like there's so many. That's the thing. I will never run out of places to cover.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Yeah, that's
I just
exciting.
wanted to say this would make a wonderful gift for another family during the holidays too, just like as a family experience. So to send
Yeah,
these as gifts to other families.
absolutely.
Yeah, and I mean, like for Serena, her children are just 2.5 and 6 months, so a little bit too young for this. But you could purchase one, for example, for your niece's family, or for even your sister, who's an older girl, 8-year-old. So that kind of thing.
Yeah.
That's a really lovely idea.
It's been really popular with some homeschoolers as well, actually, or home educators.
Mm-hmm.
We
Would
call
be
them
great.
home educators in the UK, and then I think the US is homeschoolers. It's slightly a little bit
Yeah,
different
Yeah.
terminology, but they're really
same
popular
idea.
way of just kind of
I
learning to do
bet.
something different.
Yeah,
And
that's a
even if you're
wonderful.
traveling abroad, I mean, I know some families have travel a lot, and before they go to the country, they've got out a box just to feel
That's
like they're kind of ready
awesome.
and prepared and prepped for that
Yeah,
country.
so
Um,
good. All right, now, Serena, do you want to come in with our last couple of rapid fire questions?
Yes.
Are
So
we
this
ready for that?
this is our thing. We'll ask 3 rapid questions before we close out.
okay.
And the first one is, what does being a nurturing parent look like for you?
For me, being a nurturing parent is something that I want to work on more as well, is just a lot of patience
Oh yeah.
and slowing it right down to just
Mm,
not be in a hurry, just patience and not being in a hurry for me.
yeah,
Yeah.
nice.
Yes, that's
We
definitely a
have
big
we have
part.
had episodes about both those topics.
Really? Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
I imagine. I imagine you do.
Yeah.
Number 2 is, what's one thing that surprised you about becoming a parent?
I think what surprised me more so is how much what comes up as a parent when you're parenting, what comes up for you that reminds you of your own childhood. Like, I feel that that's been for surprises, when you're become a parent, so much of comes up for you of what it was like for you when you was a child, and really
Hmm.
picking on some of the good bits and doing them again, but also going, I'm not going to do that.
I don't want to do
That's
that bit.
yeah.
Yeah.
I
Oh
think
yeah.
Yeah.
that surprised me the most is just how
Mm.
much of your young self comes up. I
Yes.
think.
Yeah. You kind of
Yes, a
have to
lot.
revisit, don't you?
A lot of
Yeah.
Hmm.
memories,
Yeah.
and you deciding, I'm not going to do that, or I want to carry that on with
Yeah.
my kid. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's really evident in certain traditions as well that I've adopted, thinking I love that as a child. I wanted to
Hmm.
recreate those for my
Yeah.
kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay. And then the last one was just, if you can remind everyone where they can find you, where they can follow you, they can see what you're doing. And,
And we'll have all this in the show notes as well, but
yes.
you go ahead and tell us, Param.
Yeah, I mean, if anybody wants to just have a chat with me and even make some requests for some certain countries, get in
Hmm.
touch. I'm really, really show up on Instagram more so. I'm on Travel Outside the Box _UK on my Instagram page. I have a Facebook page which is also Travel Outside the Box. You can come find me on there, and I do also have my website that you can find me on there. And just
Excellent.
send me a DM, and we can chat about some boxes.
Yeah. So tell us just quickly, which are the boxes that you have on hand right now?
So the boxes that I have at hand is India, Mexico, and China. And I have a Christmas one-time box, which is for the younger ones, and it's a Lapland box, but I only have a couple of those left now. But
Get them
absolutely
because they're
India,
going
China,
fast.
because they are going fast.
That's right. Awesome.
And they all are based around the same concept: role model, a recipe piece, a prop, some music links, really something to feel immersed. So those are the ones I have available,
Hmm.
but I am creating more as I go, as I continue.
So
Um,
excited to see where you're going to go with all of this.
yeah, me
Yes.
too. It is exciting. It's exciting. And
If
my
you have
kids
Now,
test it.
what's that? Your kids
And my
test
kids are
it.
the
Yeah.
testers.
And you guys follow her on Instagram because the videos that you create, Param, are beautiful. And your children are often in there and you're creating all these lovely, lovely reels to watch on
Reels
Instagram.
I enjoy doing, and
Yeah,
I'm
you're
one to
really
just
good at
do what
them.
I enjoy.
You're really good at them.
Thank you.
Now, we're going to pair this episode today with our Family Fun Friday this week. We're looking at multiculturalism and we're singing a song. It's called Hello to All the Children of the World, and it says hello in a lot of different languages. So I just wanted to end off today asking, how do you say hello? What is your first language? Was it your first language
So
or
my
was
first language was
English?
English, but my
Okay,
parents spoke
your
a
parents'
lot to
language,
me in Punjabi.
Punjabi.
So
Okay,
hello in Punjabi is often say the same greeting, goodbye and hello.
yeah.
It's sat sri akal.
Say it again.
Sasriga.
Sat sri akal. Yeah, good, Serena. Yeah,
Sasrigal.
first time.
Thank you.
Sasrigal.
Sat sri akal.
Nice. Thank you. Okay.
Thank you. It was so nice hearing your story. Thanks for making this creation and trying to make the world better by putting this into families and teaching them this. I think it's beautiful. I'm grateful. I need to order a box. I love what you're doing. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me.
Love you.
Take care. Love you. Bye.
All right, so that was the amazing Param Kaur-Kingston. Didn't you just love listening to her accent? Because I know I really enjoyed just listening to her voice. It's so pleasant. So I just wanted to share my 3 takeaways that I learned from Param as a mother, because I think she does it so gracefully, and what she set up with her family is beautiful. So the number one thing, that she was able to make learning a fun experience for the whole family, and that it became a routine, and was able to do a lot more for her kids with this experience. But the fact that when COVID came, they had something to look forward to. And then number 2, she was also discreetly planting these seeds of making the unfamiliar familiar to her kids, and creating that open-mindedness for them, which is a great characteristic that a lot of us unfortunately lack. So I love that she was bringing diversity into her home and teaching her kids that. And then number 3 was that she was also creating a safe space for these uncomfortable questions. And I think that's really important too, because if you can't have those conversations with your family, when is it gonna happen? So I love what she was able to do here, and I love that you can bring it into your home. And this was a great conversation to have, and we really hope that you took some things away from this episode. So thanks for joining us. Remember, the links are in the show notes, and it's very affordable. There's the end of the year deal going on right now, so it's a great price, and it's free shipping in the UK. So sorry if you're not in the UK. Take care.
Hey, Mama.
Thank you for being here with us.
Okay, how cute was that? Thanks for being here with us. Hit subscribe to get notified.
And hey, did you get anything out of this episode? I know I did. Show some love and send it to your mama friends to bless their day too.
And before you run and change that diaper, take 5 seconds and leave us a review saying how much you love us. You'll be helping other mamas find us. Did you know that? And hopefully find answers to the questions that are keeping them awake at night.
And if you screenshot your review and DM it to us, you will be entered to win a 1-hour coaching call at a discounted price with Amalisa.
I can't wait to chat with you. Come hang out with us in our Facebook group or on Instagram. Just click the links in the show notes. And you can direct message us anytime. We would love to chat with you.
We also have a buy me a coffee option for a fun way that you can support this podcast for just as much as you care to give. Just click the show support link in our show notes. Thank you. See you next week.